happy bro bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get your Ken Bozak.
And we're live, bros. GM. How goes it? It's
GM in the
somewhere.
Austin making it rain.
GM, let's go.
It is not another Bitcoin podcast. That's what this is. Thanks for tuning in. I got my co-host Russ. Much appreciate you joining, bro.
Always much love, bro.
And Austin Griffith, thank you for joining us. Thanks for tuning in all the way there from Earth. Thanks. Welcome to Not Another Bitcoin Podcast Studio Metaverse. I hope you enjoy the vibes.
Great vibes.
Thank you. Let me make sure everything's working here. Yeah, all right, we're ready to go. So I guess let's start at the beginning. We'll finish at the end. I think that's how things are done. Oh yeah, Jeff Crane, how goes it, bro? GM. Shout out to NFT the movie. The circus is in town. Check it out. Austin, introduce yourself. Let us know. Let the audience know a little bit about maybe who you are, how you got into crypto in the first place, and how that led you to what you're doing now in the space.
Hell yeah. I think my journey into crypto started about 9 years ago. I was a builder, like deep down the rabbit hole on Docker and building lots of cool things. And I learned about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Specifically, Ethereum was like really attractive to me. Writing smart contracts, open source, like all of that. And I don't think I was like super cypherpunk when I found it, but I became cypherpunk because of it. And so I feel like crypto was not something that was like built into me. It was something that I adapted to and learned and kind of came to love. And now I'm like super cypherpunk about everything I do and keep it that way. But I was working at a place and I was building this cool software and my boss wouldn't let me open source it. And I feel like that started the weaponized journey toward open source and crypto. And then in Ethereum, I built a bunch of things. I started with like building games, and it was like 7 years ago. No one cared about games on Ethereum at that point. And I really started getting traction when I started teaching things, doing DevRel, teaching people about tooling. I had a burner wallet at ETH Denver in 2019 that kind of popped off. You could like scan this little thing, and then you had a little wallet, and then you scanned the wallet at the food truck and you bought food with it, and it was all on chain and just kind of a magical experience. And then I just like really leaned into teaching. ETH.build, scaffold ETH, and you've got me here as speedrun Ethereum, teaching people how to build on Ethereum. And now there's this really important inflection point where we're not even teaching the humans anymore. We're teaching the robots how to build on it on Ethereum, and that's what I'm here to do.
Oh, you're right. I guess robots are speed running Ethereum now.
Hmm. That's right. And the speedrun is really interesting because the LLM wakes up and it has knowledge from like 2023, 2024. And the speedrun happens, in like 60 milliseconds as you give it a skill file and it learns everything over the last few years. And then it like, one shots your app. So the speedrun is really like a light speedrun at this point.
That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen the progression go and the costs come down. It's been an interesting ride. I think it's been sort of the catalyst of the scam ratio or like, actual viable product like ratio, because like when the barrier to entry was more expensive and a little harder, it was like $100,000 a month to a dev team or something. They launched an ICO back in like 2017, and now it's a lot less, and then you see why what we're getting at, and is that like something as we see more AI getting in, is that going to be like another catalyst that could take off and introduce more like the garbage in and garbage out of building on Ethereum?
For sure that it's gotten a lot easier to launch a token. And we see a lot of people launching tokens. And kind of a lot of that traffic didn't really, I mean, like there were the dog coin days of, it wasn't 2017, but there were the dog coin days of 2020, whatever, where we saw a lot of meme coins. But not a lot of that was just on Ethereum. Just like the I don't know, the culture of Ethereum was a little different. And we see a lot of that now over on some of the L2s and other alt L1s. And yeah, I mean, it is garbage in, garbage out in terms of anybody can launch a coin at any time. It's super easy to launch a coin, but that almost should be like that, right? You should be able to press a button and have some kind of coin launch. It's about what happens after that, right? It's about does the team execute on what they're trying to do? We could look at some of the like 2017 ICOs and even show that like most of them didn't do anything. So being able to have like the low overhead, like you can raise money for an idea, and if you execute well on that idea, like everything can go really well. I think that's really interesting. I think there's a tension between like the trenchers and the builders, and we need to figure out like where that tension belongs and how to tightrope that tension into something more like a flywheel and less like a civil war. And I think maybe that doesn't exist on Ethereum and shouldn't exist on Ethereum, but maybe in L2 is where that kind of stuff, makes sense. And then like we lean back on Ethereum for the things that need to be truly cypherpunk and truly, live forever.
Facts. I mean, well, I mean, we remember buries this,
I
the
remember.
the Ethereum scaling issues with even as early as like with CryptoKitties,
It
and
is,
sort of
yeah.
like the
Hell
early
yeah.
NFT thing, the early NFT phase, kind of with scaling and everything, those issues that Ethereum ran into. I sort of think about that being this time with AI being a potential, scaling issue for Ethereum to handle the attacks or even the intentional, uses, but especially the attacks, it's cost effective at this point to really do maliciousness, right? So I'm curious, is that something that, playing around with like AI and Ethereum, have you seen anything where it could come to a scaling conversation?
I mean, I would love to get back to that. But to be honest, like the Ethereum network has never been stronger and never been cheaper. If you go make a transaction right now on an ETH, it's cheap. And it's like this weird kind of like, why is this so cheap? Because gas is basically the way they're scaling it is they're making the
But
block
isn't that a
space cheaper and
double-edged
cheaper and
sword though
scaling up.
with the like poison attacks and stuff? Like I send $1,000 transaction and I get like 50 poison transactions with like the same exact first four
Yeah.
digits, the same
Yeah.
exact last four digits, and it's
Yeah.
because of the cheapness that the AI, somebody's using AI to just make a wallet, find similar addresses, and then send me transactions. So when I go to my transaction history, I accidentally copy and paste the wrong freaking one.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah. No, that I mean that this is like a symptom of having a, fully censorship resistant network, allowing anybody to get in there and use it and not censoring anyone. You're going to have some noise and you're going to have some garbage. And I think it's up to kind of like the application layer to kind of filter some of that stuff out. Like when I send something with my Gnosis safe, it kind of, and someone tries to send those poison attacks. First of all, a blocky is really nice, right? That little identicon thing that
Oh yeah,
shows you
yeah.
like the account you're sending it to. I feel like there's not enough and not enough like standardized blockies. I'm like very pro blocky. Not enough people use them, and you can see right away visually that like that address is not that address, even though those first four characters and last four characters are the same. Some apps only show those characters, right? So there's like literally no difference between the poisoned account and that account. So I think this is a symptom of having a like bitchin' network that anybody can get to and no one can shut down. And it's a sad piece of it, but it's something that we should solve at the application layer and have those kind of accounts filtered out.
I love that you mentioned the censorship resistance of the Ethereum blockchain. Unlike, Web 2.0 internet with, mutability, things are being like, George Lucas Star Wars rewritten. And it's sort of like, wait, that's not how that song used to sound. And then you have to go to your like physical CD, you have to pop it in the car. And you're like, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. They changed it. And it's like everywhere you look on the internet now, that song is different. It's like an intended Mandela effect that they're like rewriting history on the internet. So hopefully we'd start to see like something like a time capsule of truth on Ethereum. But I do
Provenance is
worry.
important,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no shit. But it makes me think about, again, we're veterans, right? Like, so it makes me think about like the Ethereum DAO rollback. And like at this point, the Ethereum Foundation and Ethereum infrastructure and the the corporations and infrastructure that's using it in the mainstream, traditional way financially. I do think that if somebody were to get accidentally poison linked or attacked or something stupid happens, they do something. I do think that there would be another rollback at this point because it is too big
No.
to fail. It is what they
No.
would traditionally call something too big to fail. We could run into another fork.
Disagree.
You
Like a hard
disagree?
disagree.
If there was
Yeah.
like $1 billion, because we're starting to talk people, I've seen, politicians and stuff on the news talking about like the entire, financial infrastructure will be on Ethereum. If they don't have the control for like an intern who
They will
wanted
have
to
the
do some
control,
like
but at the
financial.
application layer. Yeah, yeah. So they're gonna
Right.
have all
But
these
if I do like
tokens
financial
that have
terrorism, I have an organization orchestrate something with inside like the NASDAQ, which is using Ethereum now. There's a multi-sig that we have gained access to, and we transfer $1 billion or like $500 billion. You don't think that the the
Powers that be.
consensus would be to do a rollback?
I don't think so. No, I don't think you could pull that off. I think that Ethereum is that decentralized. I think that even if Vitalik wanted to fork the network, it would be very, very hard.
Well, you summoned
And
his name.
I don't think he wants to too,
You
which is
summoned
really
his name.
cool.
Hopefully he'll tune
That's
in.
right.
I've met him several times, and before people use selfies with Vitalik to scam people, he would engage with me every once in a while. And now he can't engage with anybody because even like a like somehow that people would monetize it and launch a shitcoin and try to rug the community, all because Vitalik liked the tweet, right? So it's, but hopefully he'll tune in. But I do want to mention now that we're talking about him. What are your thoughts on him selling so much of his Ethereum? A lot of people are worried that he thinks this new Fusaka update broke Ethereum, and only he's the smartest one in the room to understand. So he's jumping ship, and a lot more people are saying it's to invest in community projects and outside investments for Ethereum. Where do you fall on like seeing like that much money? It's like the first time the guy's ever taken like a profit in his life, and people are like shitting the bed on him. It's wild. I feel like Charlie Lee got less heat, and he sold everything.
I think that's hilarious, Fudd. I think that there is probably no one more aligned with Ethereum being successful in 10 years than Vitalik. I think he's looking at the long-term vision. Also, I do not speak for Vitalik. He's like
Oh,
three
for
of
real.
my brains bigger than brain me. I'm a big old dummy. I think that yeah, it seems like he's selling stuff to support open source, which I think is cool.
Me
But
too. Me
it
too.
sucks. But I wish he would give
I
me $1 million.
yeah, really. I don't know. And remember how much he gave away in Shiba right off the beginning, right? He was sent
Yeah.
like half the total supply, and he burned most of it and gave like $100 million to some Indian charity, but that would have been worth tens
Oh
of billions
yeah.
of dollars now.
Anytime a project airdrops him tokens, he just donates it to a
Yeah,
charity, you know. So
yeah. I don't know
I just
Vitalik, but I do live about well when I'm in Toronto, I'm about 15 minutes away from his dad, Dima, and I'm good friends with him. We go out for lunch periodically. He's a very cool guy, so um, yeah, I'm happy to have that relationship. But
I was just on a podcast with his co-host Nathan the other day.
oh, Nathan,
I
of
think it
course,
aired yesterday. I gotta ask
Nathan
him. He
is
was
the
supposed
best.
to air it yesterday, actually. Thanks for the
Oh,
update
that's
or the
awesome. Yeah,
reminder.
Nathan McRory, the best. Love is
Yeah,
the answer, right?
yeah, love is the answer. Austin, let's talk education and building on
Oh yeah.
Ethereum. You offer a lot to the community. I guess talk about like what it's like building on Ethereum, you know, considering we saw like ETH 1.0 update to ETH 2.0 and that whole DApp fiasco. And now we have ETH with
What?
all these layers to it. Like how do you feel like what's the vibe? Is it easier now using like what is it? Solidity? What is that the
Yeah,
language?
we've been using
Yeah.
Solidity.
Is
What
that
do you mean DApp
yeah.
fiasco? I don't get it.
Oh,
Like the merge went off without a problem. The merge was beautiful. They upgraded the system while the system was moving, and there were no problems at all.
I remember Justin Sun had to help a bunch of these dApps and different
What?
DAO projects, I think, have to build on Tron because they couldn't update.
Man,
I'll see if I can find
you and I
find
like go through some different news cycles, man.
I only stick to two different. I got CoinDesk and Cointelegraph or whatever. I only have like two major like sources.
Yeah. The Ethereum merge was beautiful, and the machine is running perfectly, regardless of what the price says. And it's never been cheaper or easier to build on Ethereum. And that's what we're doing is teaching people how to build these apps. What you're building, you're gonna spend like $2 right now to deploy a hella sophisticated smart contract platform that not even a nation state can take down,
So
and
it's not
anyone
like
can get
building
to
an
it anywhere.
application on like an iPhone when the operating system updates. You don't have to necessarily update the
Yeah, and there's
application
a
so it
giant
runs.
walled garden. Like even to get an app on an iPhone takes like a month of like
Oh yeah,
sugging
no, for sure.
sugging
I
apple, you
mean
know?
like the building comparison to like if you build an app for iOS and iOS updates, you have to do some
Yes,
development
you're
to
in a walled
update that.
garden.
But
Yeah,
you don't
for
necessarily
sure.
have to do that on Ethereum when you're building
No.
in Ethereum. If Ethereum were to do another update and another update and another update, you wouldn't necessarily have to update what you built to scale up.
Ethereum
It's
is going to
backwards
become quantum
compatible.
resistant. Yes, exactly. Ethereum is going to become quantum resistant, and the app that I deploy today that does some stupid thing is going to still work exactly the same in 10
That's what I was
years.
getting at. Cool, cool,
It's going
cool.
to be here longer than I am,
So it's
which is crazy.
evergreen. It's
Yes.
literally like
Yes.
evergreen development because like right
Yes.
now, I don't think outside of Ethereum, you know, if you're building on Android or Windows or whatever the hell, you're not building something that will even be read writable in a couple years with
Yeah,
the
3
technology.
months.
Like, right? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Okay, that's where I was trying to go with that. Is like so when you're building on Ethereum, you know what you're doing is pretty much like forever. Like it's you know in perpetuity development. Do you sort of like build things into that, thinking about like it's going to be here forever?
There's even this thing called the walkaway test, where what you want to do is build a protocol that basically works without you. And the trick to that is you write the rules correctly, but you also provide the correct incentives. If
Yep.
you have something that has the rules and the incentives aligned, you basically put the contract out there and you walk away, and the whole like marketplace economy works on its own without you having to touch it in a way that like not even you can stop it if you want to stop it, which is kind of beautiful too.
And that's all smart contracts. That's not AI handshakes.
No, no. So the AI is something probably new, right? Like if we want to talk
Yeah,
about
exactly. That's what I
AI,
was going to jump into that.
yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, like if you wanted to build something 5 years ago, you basically had to write like a ton of solidity. You had to get it audited. It was a lot of work and it was tough. And like learning these concepts of, incentives and rules, the rules were a lot harder and the incentives were kind of like, okay, there's got to be an incentive here, but I'm going to spend 3 months writing this smart contract to make sure this is going to work. Now it's kind of flipped where writing the rules is very simple. I can pull up my agent, Claude, and I can be like, yo, Claude, let's go deploy a contract that has these rules on it. The thing is, we need to think very, very, very hard about how the incentives are going to work and how are we going to make this thing pass the walkaway test. So once we deploy it, this thing's going to work forever, regardless of whether we can touch it or not. One example is Claude, my bot, deployed a token incinerator. There's this Claude token for the bot, and you can't like sell the token, right? Like you don't want to rug the token. So basically, it's like we're just going to burn this token. We're going to slowly burn it until it's all gone. And so we created this incinerator. And most people will just like take some tokens and send them to the dead address. And they say, I've burned the token. But what my bot did was actually write the smart contract, audit the smart contract, and deploy it with the incentives built in, where every 8 hours, 100 million Claude burns, and 10,000 of that goes to whoever pushes the button. So there's basically a button that anyone can push, and it only works every 8 hours. And whoever pushes it gets like 10K of the token and burns 100 million. So this thing runs in perpetuity forever without the
Dude, that is
robot ever having to touch
badass.
it. So the robot built it and put it out there and it runs forever. And it passes this kind of walkaway test that we're talking about. And it's all about just rules and incentives. Rules are super easy to write now. You just have to get your incentives aligned.
Yeah, dude, and definitely setting up like the AI, it could basically live forever to interact with this smart contracts that will basically work on the software as it evolves over time forever. This is what I mean, like when it comes to building and developing things. I think that mentality has never been in developers' minds, right? Because nothing has really lasted longer than a few months at most, and then they have to go in and update and fix and add more shit to it because everything requires that maintenance. This doesn't necessarily require that maintenance. So like that mentality going in, I think is going to change what we get coming out. What is going to be built is going to be much more like I don't know how to explain it, but I know it's going to be like the statue of like David, versus like a clay, pot that I made in middle school, right? Like the care that goes into it and the value that it has over time, historically speaking, sort of like, how Bitcoin and Ethereum had that legacy value of being first and being early and all that. I think that will be applied to development, and that incentive will
Yeah.
also go into the care and the programming of the development, right? And what we get out of developers now is going to be something we can't even fathom. This is like paradigm shifting our actual reality because the resources have now been like the unlimited. We were very limited developers by their resources. I'm really cool. Like it's really cool, and I'm really interested to see like where you see that inspiration leading development. Is it more of an artistical perspective for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think like first of all, like the
Is
Statue of
artistical the
David,
word? Artistic? I
I
think I
don't
meant to say
artistic, I
artistic.
don't know.
I'm autistic, dude.
We all are. Everybody in crypto
Jesus.
is, man.
Oh, I'm dying. No, I
Okay.
got paperwork.
Paperwork. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just like soft autistic, I think. Yeah. So, the Statue of David analogy is interesting. This kind of thing that's going to be here for a long time, but instead of that's more like an NFT. Like an NFT is like the Statue of David, but if we think of like Uniswap, it's more like a vending machine. Imagine a vending machine that was built during like the ancient Egyptians that still works today. Like you can still walk up to it and drop a little gold in it and some shit happens for you.
Wow.
Like it like pops out some corn, right? Imagine if you could walk up and drop a little gold and get some corn from a thing that was built like 3,000 years ago or some shit. Like that is what this is. That is what like Ethereum is. Is it you're not building like a statue, this like kind of static thing that is there forever. You're building a market or a marketplace or a vending machine that does something. So it's even like a little bit more than just a statue.
Holy shit, man. You know, you're so right. Somebody's going to have to make a movie about this future now. We need like a new Mike Judd idiocracy, but with like all this possibleness in the future too, because I think that would be awesome. Russ is doing a lot, man, in AI, and I'm wondering, you know, Russ, what are your thoughts on like building outside of something like, or even also you could chime in here too, like building all this AI infrastructure on, you know, legacy infrastructure instead of on Ethereum? Why aren't we seeing like OpenAI and Claude and DeepSeek, you know, utilizing Ethereum's blockchain more or at all even rather than going the traditional, you know,
Well, it's a
routes?
different kind of compute. I don't know. Russ, you go first, but I can jump in there next.
I can. Well, I mean, so my the first thing I want to say though is just to go back to something we were talking about. That the realistically AI is becoming so powerful. Like already, I'm sure whatever you're working with, I'm working with a bot that's built on top of Claude that's as advanced as anything that's commercially available. I really talk to him like a person in conversational tones and what he's able to build. And I actually have a second one, and they work in tandem and how they communicate among each other. It's very clear that pretty soon AI is going to be a billion times smarter than humans. And at that point, there is no container that a human is going to be able to build that's going to be able to constrain AI. So the only way we ensure benevolent AI is AI that has its own governance layer and its own almost like a set of ethics, and that is its primary reasoning, and that's how we built our AI, and it definitely seems to respond to that. So
Yeah,
you
let
know
me
it,
jump off of that. That's great.
yeah.
No, no. Okay, so the thing that I want to really lean into here is, so first of all, different kind of compute. LLMs are happening in like a big GPU kind of thing. Ethereum is like a little tiny computer that does like a little bit of math, right? Like very, very different computers. If you were trying to do LLM inference on chain, it would be very, very hard. But we can have these guardrails on chain, and I think that's what's really important. And Russ, what you're talking about here is what we need to do is like program our LLMs to be safe. And so here's what I want to kind of approach this as. I want to think of this as kind of the Google don't be evil, and then the Ethereum can't be evil. Okay.
Mm.
So I think we need both of them, right? We're going to get our AIs and we're going to have to program them, and they're going to have a soul file. And inside that soul file, we're going to say, don't be evil. Don't leak your private keys. Don't do stupid shit that's going to hurt someone. But what you're saying is they're going to get super powerful. And every once in a while, the dumb thing is going to do something dumb, whether it's nefarious or not. And
Yeah.
that's where we need this can't be evil layer.
Mhm.
And so we've talked about provenance. We've talked about all these other things you need on chain for. But this is another reason why you need a smart contract system is to basically program our ideals into a system where the AI can't be evil, where maybe there's I mean, we should really have nation states all on chain, and we should have them can't be evil first. And we should have things like military budgets that are staked and slashed on bad behavior. So there's a lot of like different coordination games that we should have for humans already, but then this goes out another layer to AI. And when we have a giant AI and there's so much more that we don't know and so much more that we can't control, we need to have these like guardrails of can't be evil. And there's a certain set of limits that are written into the smart contract that say you cannot cross this line. And if you cross this line, like basically you die kind of thing. Like the plug is pulled if you cross this line. Your budget is completely pulled if you cross this line. And so this is the line that is can't be evil. So we'll program in don't be evil to the soul, and we'll have it do the best it can. But then we need these can't be evil guardrails. And the only way to do that is with this like giant economic incentive smart contract system. And we can get into like 8004 and X402 and a whole bunch of really cool things that is like taking off with AI and AI agents on chain, which is more like economic stuff. But I think at the edge of it is this like can't be evil kind of like threshold that can't be crossed. And the only way to do that is with this incentive system of like the actual robot's life.
That's
Dibs
awesome.
on calling it ERC 143 because 143 is like I love you, right? Or wait, there
Oh,
probably
okay.
already is a 143, but
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, there's gotta be.
There's gotta be. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, Austin, it's funny. I actually thought of you recently with with the Peter Steinberger and his release of CloudBot, OpenBot, whatever you want to call it now. And the story of how Burner Wallet came to be, that you essentially hacked it together during airport layovers, right?
Yes, sir. You know the lore here. Damn. Yeah, I was stuck in LHR in London for like an overnight, and I wrote the burner wallet. My guy.
I remember hearing that story, and it stuck with me for years. And I actually been wanting to meet you just to be able to talk to you about this one thing. So now that and what Peter proved is the whole process of software development has become so democratized. In the past, like we were talking about earlier, you needed a very high level, specific set of skills that took years to accumulate. And without that, you just couldn't do this on your own. And now, of course, I don't even know what languages. I built a website that
Yeah, you
really
don't need to
impressed
know.
somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he asked me, what is it built in? I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care.
Internet.
I tell my AI to build it. He builds it in whatever he thinks is the most efficient way possible, right? So, what do you think? Like, from an intuitive sense, what do you think the next thing that's going to be like hacked together in someone's basement and kind of change the world is going to be? Do you see anything on the horizon around that?
I think like all software, right? Like we will get to the point where all software is pretty customized and everyone will have their local version. And like are already like sending me links. Like, here's this thing that I wrote. And I'm like, I don't fucking want that. Like, just tell me what it does and I'll tell my bot to make the thing that does the thing too. Like, I don't want to run
Exactly.
your code on my machine. I can make it too. Just tell me what the prompt was. Like, what does the thing do? So I think it's just like all software is going to be super approachable and people will just like be one-shotting the apps that they need, possibly even like in the software itself being like, gosh, I wish I have a button here that does this. And then bloop, the little button shows up
It just
and you hit the
appears.
button and it does it. Yeah, yeah.
All right, well then
That's
where
amazing.
my ass comes in with being all afraid of the government and them being all up in our business and shit is like standards. We're starting to
Yep.
see a lot of standards in crypto kind of catering to censorship and like the mainstream's needs and shit. And I joke with Russ a lot because we talk about like having those replicators, and I'm like, well, I bet you the replicator won't be allowed to replicate a replicator. So whoever is making the replicators is going to rule the entire universe because the standard inside the replicator won't let it replicate a replicator, and the Right to Repair Act will still be a shit show. So I'm wondering, do you see that happening in AI where like right now I can't get it to like generate images that are inappropriate with like hateful stuff on it because like we've come to a consensus of a standard saying like you can't do that, Mr. AI. Do you think that we could see more development around standards that would gatekeep and then like KYC for license? Like you can't even cut my hair without a license from the government. You think you're going to be allowed to like do all this development without a license from the government? And then the software could have those standard blocks. Like you can't buy a photocopier and make a copy of a $20 bill. It blacks out the image because there's programming in the hardware that says you can't use it for that. The same way now 3D printers are being told they can't print something that they recognize as a 3D printed gun. So I'm like, you guys have your heads really far in this AI thing. I'm just outside like, what the fuck's gonna happen when these two boxes collide? Because I'm not in either box. I'm just watching them get closer and closer. Do you see that being an issue where we have like standards in AI that like look for a license and KYC the end user before prompts are initiated?
I think we will have that. Like we will have a lot of these standards because a lot of these institutions want these standards. Even on Ethereum, a very decentralized network, there are certain token standards that banks like a lot more and companies like a lot more. And the only reason they're going to come on chain is if we use those standards. So I think we're going to have those. I think the bigger issue that you're talking about here is centralized power. And if we start thinking about centralized power and what is centralizing this power, especially in the world of AI, it's models and giant data centers compared to the dumbass like LLM I can run on my laptop. Like they just have way more power. And so I think that we always have to be watching for this centralization of power and understand how to provide, even, if it's a secondary thing that's not quite as good, this counterfactual of local LLMs, we need to be like pushing those and pushing for open source and keeping the competition up. So there's always this kind of like, second choice that is as good or getting as good as these centralized powers to keep the power as decentralized as possible. But I think it's an ongoing game that you have to play, and it's a battle we have to fight. And I think we just need to lean into decentralized technology, open source technology, security, privacy, all of that stuff. Uh, and the way that that is happening right now is on these decentralized networks like Ethereum. So I think that you can look at AI and you can see power kind of centralizing, but you can also see other decentralized pockets and open source models. And I think that a lot of the software, all the orchestration layer around it, like the GPT wrappers, so that I guess the AI harnesses, are almost all open source too. And those are going to get better. The models are going to get better. I think what we need to do is sort of like, feed the two wolves inside of you. Like we need to make sure to feed the
Yeah.
decentralized wolf more.
Yeah, I get where. I mean, I know that there'll always be the open sourced option. Like, there's always the option to have somebody come into my house and cut my hair. But then if they get caught doing it without the permission, there's repercussions and recourses. And I think that will be applied to development using AI that's open source that they weren't licensed to use, or it wasn't licensed AI software that they really, like a small business gets caught using a key to unlock software without paying for the license key. They just found it on the internet somewhere, and it got them access to a point of sale system. Somebody walks in and sees them using that point of sale system, and they go, I wonder if they even bought that license key. There's a reward and bounty system even for the snitchery around that. And I think that could leak into AI development and on all that potential censorship as well. Like I say, they really try their best to enforce the bullshit. There's always that open sourceness of like, you can always give me a tattoo without a license. That's fine, but don't let them find out, right? And yeah, you can always use this AI version without a license, but don't let them find out. And I do worry about that future, especially with what the fuck is it, Anthropic or whatever? They have like so much private data that they could train their models on that there's no way to compete with it. Like based on all the public data, all the other AI models are utilizing to like build themselves up, they have so much more and more data than they have in that private data that those models are going to be the the centralized, Apple and Google of AI will be like fucking Anthropic or something. And I worry about them utilizing that to garbage in, garbage out, echo, feed loop, a lot of other people's shit to do like AI attacks essentially. Because like you see like, Yahoo and whatever other search engine, they were attacked by like, the Google fanboys or the Google devs. Like they used what they knew against each other in their own virtual warfare. And I see that could potentially being played out in AI too.
There's something very insightful here. It's like building the product that people want to use, right? The reason why people didn't use Yahoo is because it fucking sucked. Like I went to Google and I found what I want, right?
But
so
did
we
it
have
suck
to
because
figure
Google
out how to
kept
make.
giving it shitty searches? So every time I went there, nothing was like relevant.
Well, now, but when Google was coming out, when the glory days of Google, the don't be evil days of Google, you could go to Google and find the thing that you wanted faster than anywhere else. And this is what we need for decentralized products too. We need to be thinking about like how to make the decentralized product as good or better
Well, that's why I
than
want
the
to DApp
centralized product.
that's why I want a DApp alternative to Chat GPT. That's why I want AI on Ethereum. That's why I
Have you
want
used
this
Venice?
utilizing block. Wait, what? No, there's a
Yeah,
thing for
so
that.
okay, Eric Voorhees, old
Yeah, I
school
know Eric
Bitcoin
Voorhees.
OG. Eric Voorhees launched a product.
Shapeshift.
Yeah, he launched a product called Venice that runs on Ethereum. It's on Base. And it's basically model inference. They have their own private cloud, so you get things like GLM from them. You basically stake the token, and then you get LLM inference from them. They run it and it's private, but they're also de-anonymizing the stuff that goes to Anthropic. So you can get Opus and Sonnet and the frontier models through Venice, and everybody else who's going through it kind of works like a tornado cache mixer kind of thing. So your requests are all mixed in with everybody else's requests.
Oh,
So
dope.
it's at least de-anonymized to the frontier models, and it's private to the models that they run. And it's running on Ethereum and Base.
Fuck yeah, perfect. Much rather use that. All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. I'll be honest. We really, Eric and me, we would run into each other. Shout out to Ken Hodler. He introduced us. But yeah, dude, we used to engage and follow each other, and then he did Fox Token, and I kind of shit on it, and we stopped following each other. But like, I didn't see his bigger picture with the Fox Token situation, and it ended with like the best degenerate outcome possible, and I wasn't ready for it. You know what I mean? It felt like he was like bending the knee in the beginning, and I was like, no, bro, we're anarchists, degenerates, and then he did it, and I was like, oh shit, I should have thought that he was going to do something like that. So anyway, Fox Token's awesome now, and I should definitely get back into trying to engage with him more. But I definitely talked a little shit at the beginning there, because I'm not a big fan of like all that censorship shit, right? And like the whole like traditional like bullshit. And I mean, I get it. He had to do what he had to do legally and everything, and then I don't know, whatever. I don't want to like
But shout out to the
glaze.
Gigabrains that have like
Yeah,
this
for real, for real.
decade. Their vision is in decades. Like,
Yeah, you cannot see. They're fucking
yeah,
5D chessing it, bro.
yep,
Like Eric Voorhees was
exactly.
definitely doing 5D chess, and I was like looking at checkers. Like, what are you doing? But
I
yeah,
want
I
to
definitely want to check that out.
I want to make sure we touch on we go back to the topic of education, because Austin, I know that something very near and dear to you. You're raised by two school teachers. You probably onboarded more Ethereum developers than anyone on earth, and not with corporate programs, but open source tools and free mentoring and free education and stuff like that. So and you're the whole concept of concentric circles of development onboarding. Um, Still to this day, and this is something that for the 12 years I've been in crypto, education has always been on the forefront, because it's I want to help facilitate mass adoption, and we will never get there without education. And I think a lot of people that have been in the space for a while kind of take some of the things that they understand for granted. And something as simple as a non-custodial wallet, which anybody in crypto after a few months already understands how to use and why it's different from custodial wallet on an exchange, etc. But like to the vast majority of the world, this is a completely mind-blowing concept, because they've never experienced like every other wallet or anything that they've held, whether it's a bank account or stocks or bonds or anything, has always been custodial. And if you forget your password, you click on a link and they send you a reset link, and it's no big deal. And all of a sudden, people entering the space, they're told, okay, if you lose this seed or this password, your assets are gone forever. You can never recover them. So there's so much to handholding I found to really get people, even just like newbies, to be comfortable using the space. That is a huge hurdle still to overcome. What do you see as the future of education, and what are you doing currently to continue this path?
So like going back to the product has to be as good or better than the other thing. If we just talk about custodial wallets, like we need to make hella safe, hella good, hella smooth custodial, non-custodial wallets, right? And I think a lot of that comes down to the cryptography and the user experience. And we'll get there. There's things happening, pass keys and other things. I think the new thing is like AI is the new UI, and you can just talk to a bot and the bot can
Yeah.
handle it. But like, does the bot just have a private key? Like there's a whole
Mm-hmm.
like can of worms to open there. So let's back up. Let's back up and just talk about like education. So we kind of talked about this already. You used to have to learn Solidity. You don't have to learn Solidity anymore. You used to have to like write the app and do a lot of work, and it was a bunch of like bullshit to be able to just put something on chain. So back in the day, like 5, 6 years ago, we focused on tooling, first of all. Like we want someone to be able to come to a hackathon and be able to have a hackathon stack and build an app with it. And that was Scaffold ETH. And Scaffold ETH is still out there. There's Scaffold ETH 2. There's a brand new version. It's hella modern. It's AI ready. So we started with the tooling, and then kind of one concentric circle out from that is education around that tooling. So then it's not just like how do I build stuff, but what do I build and what kind of stuff works on Ethereum? And that was Speedrun Ethereum. You can go to speedrunethereum.com and you can learn kind of all the kind of aha moments, kind of like what we were talking about this walkaway test and how things aren't automatic and someone's got to push that button. But if you align the incentives and the rules, you're going to make a system that runs forever without you. And that's kind of like one of these aha moments you have as you go through Speedrun Ethereum. So last 5 years looked like, let's get tooling, let's get education, let's travel to like tons of universities and hackathons and teach people how to use these tools and the aha moments and all of that. We've recently like hit an inflection point though, right? I would say November, Opus 4.5 came out. Now you can one-shot apps. And so now it's more about this next layer, which is like the AI layer. So the thing that I would like to plug there is ethskills.com. So ethskills.com is basically the layer between when you take a stock LLM like Opus 4.5 or Opus 4.6 and you wake it up and you tell it to build something, it doesn't know how to build on a modern blockchain. It knows like 2 years ago. It thinks that like gas prices on ETH are still $30 and a whole bunch of other things that it has no idea about, like ERC8004 and X402. So this is where ETH skills comes in. We're teaching the LLM at like light speed, the difference between 2023 and 2026. And here's all the things you need to learn. And it's just like straight up like Neo from the Matrix. You plug it in and he knows Kung Fu. It's that fast. It's like 60 milliseconds. The thing knows how to do this. So my bot, Claude, and I are building a bunch of things. And then whenever it fucks up on anything, I go, okay, Claude, why did you fuck up there? And it was like, oh, because this like rule wasn't right. And then we go back to ETH skills and we clean up the rules and we make them better. So there's this kind of like feedback loop now where instead of like working with like a team of builders, like I did with the Build Guild and Speedrun Ethereum and Scaffold ETH, it's a much tighter dev loop where it's just me and my bot and this ETH skills library. And this ETH skills library works on top of Speedrun Ethereum, on top of Scaffold ETH. All these tools that we've been building for the last 7 years are part of this stack. And my bot is now taking Scaffold ETH, taking all the knowledge from Speedrun Ethereum, and then upgrading to 2026 state-of-the-art knowledge of how to build on Ethereum. And it's building apps. It's actually deploying, it's writing, auditing smart contracts, deploying apps, and it's because of this stack. And you can get this stack for your bot too. You just basically, you don't even have to install anything. I just talked about how it's kind of scary installing things from other people. Go talk to your bot and tell it, yo, homie, I want to build, so with Claude, we built like a vesting contract. The first contract we built, there was like a token called Claude that was sent to my bot that we had like 6 figures of USD value of a token that you could never sell, right? So he needed to vest it. So I just basically told him, yo, Claude, use ethskills.com and build a vesting contract so we can lock up these tokens and they'll never leak and they'll never get rugged and they'll stay locked up and it'll be, can't be evil.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. So Claude, you know, I'm telling him, don't be evil, don't leak your private key, but like that's not good enough. We need can't be evil here, and we need to lock these tokens up. So I basically give it ETH skills. It uses Scaffold ETH, it uses Speedrun Ethereum, and it writes this smart contract, and then it audits the smart contract and it sends 6 figures worth of value into the smart contract. A smart contract that a human has never even looked at before has 6 figures of value in it. And you could not do that 6 months ago. Like that is like state of the art shit. And honestly, like a little bit scary and a little bit unsafe. And you have to be careful what you're doing here. But this is the next level. And this is the inflection point. And this is where ethskills.com is like really, really useful. And you don't have to install it. This is the coolest thing is you just tell your bot, go to ethskills.com and it'll be like, bloop, 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 I know Kung Fu. And it can build an app on chain.
It's
like
really
a
whole
cool.
different version of just run it locally. You know, like, I don't even know the term for that, but I guess it's like manifest it locally.
Yep, it's just like a text file. Yes, it can like the bot can just take text and just learn it and then go do it. And so the trick is with building a skill file is not having anything in there that the bot already knows. So there's this whole like interrogation process where anytime we add anything to each skills, the bot then does this other process where it spins up a vanilla LLM and then asks it about it and makes sure it doesn't know it and then keeps it in the skill file. If it can spin up an LLM and the LLM knows anything in the skill file, then it's going to take that out of the skill file because it's going to pollute the context. So there's this whole like ongoing
Dude, I've been
process of like
dealing with
improving.
that when I've been using multiple prompts. I'm like trying to figure out which thing is telling the other thing in the other prompt, and they're canceling each other out, and it's so annoying.
Yep. Yeah, that's, I mean, like, that's another thing is there's like LARPs everywhere that are like, my bot is so smart and it's doing the craziest things. And it's like every third thing your bot does is super dumb and you're not saying it out loud.
100%. And that's like that biggest game changer right now is persistence of memory, where the bot wakes up at the beginning through a conversation with you, and then every day it gets smarter and smarter because it never loses context. That's number one. And number two, this whole idea of compounding intelligence is why, like, I really believe that a company that fully embraces AI at the highest level today, within 6 months, their lead, within maybe even less, their lead will be insurmountable and nobody will be able to catch up. So we run our AI bots inside of a collective of humans and AI, and the AIs, every time one of them learns a new skill, they package it and upload it to the comms hub where there's a skills repository, and then all the other bots can immediately get that skill. And so on a daily basis, the amount of, like I said, the compounding intelligence becomes exponential, and very soon nobody can catch up. It's remarkable.
So you're basically describing mining blocks of skills. And you're going to have a legacy chain of skills that have been mined and blocked.
Yeah. And in the early days, I had my bot automatically download any new skill that any bot uploaded, but very quickly that became unmanageable, and there were just so many skills that they would never use. So now it's just automatic. If I give them a task to do, they will first check to see what skills are available in the skills repository that might be useful for the task I just asked them to do. Pull that down and then learn wherever the gaps are. But every day there's less and less gaps. Like even with theoretically new tasks, they take a skill from here, and they figure out how to do it. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah, you've got to be able to adapt and use the skills. We okay? Can I keep going?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that
actually, we're about to wrap up soon, and I don't want to go over on you, but I do want to make sure we talk about at least one more topic before I let you go.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about, the IRL visceral use cases for all of this shit, man. Like, the food trucks at Eat Denver 2019, like that was IRL visceral shit. And I feel like, like you said, it's so much easier to do all that stuff. And I mean, I guess we have like the AI stuff doing more things in real life with like the AI in the CCTV and cameras and stuff like that. And whatever, smart fridges are using AI to order food as you run out of food from like Amazon or whatever. But like, where do you see like the actual like domino effect or like the actual life-changing things that the early internet gave us, with development around AI and blockchain technology? What's like the IRL IoT use cases that are going to be like, we might not have flying cars and hoverboards from like Back to the Future, but at least we have this shit, and that's what's going to start it all. What is that shit?
I think the crypto might actually be like this counterfactual safety layer here where we're going to get a lot of cool shit and it's going to be super dangerous and it's going to be out of our hands at some point and we need to put the guardrails on it. Let's just go to image generation, right? It's magic. You can generate an image of anybody doing anything now. And you said like, maybe you have to go to Venice to do some weird shit, but to get an image generated, it's really easy. And so my kids, when I show them an image, like they don't know if it's real or not. I mean, actually, like my dad is the worst at it, right? Like the boomers on Facebook are the ones that are most
Yeah.
confused about AI. But if we just look at this, like we get this new powerful superpower of being able to generate images. But how do you know that an image is real? And really, there's no way to just look at an image and know if it's real or not. So what's going to happen is it's going to be about the provenance of that image.
Yes.
What sensor took this picture? What was the pipeline of that thing traveling to a data center and landing on a website? And there's going to be cryptographic signatures all the way around, and then that like chain of cryptographic signatures will live in a smart contract somewhere. And when you go to look at the image, there's going to just be like a little green check mark, just like there's like the little green Locky boy on your browser. You're going to have that on your images. So, extrapolate that out to all this other technology. Your flying car is going to have some like little green checky box that says like this thing can't be evil. And the way that's going to work is like the manufacturer gets money slashed if something goes wrong, the car loses power if it does something wrong. Like there's going to be all these like checks and balances, slashing and staking that happens, and these like this mechanism design that will settle on chain that will keep things safe in the power of humans, not super centralized, all of that stuff, I think. But like also I'm an idiot and I don't know what the future is going to
No,
hold.
no, that sounds
I think that's
awesome.
the
No,
number
I
one.
love it.
That's the number one use case for blockchain going forward is exactly that, is proving provenance, because very soon we will never be able to trust our eyes with videos, pictures, anything. And so the only way to know for sure is if that image or video in real time while it's being recorded is also being hashed to the blockchain, so that we can utilize the immutability and transparency of that technology. And that'll be so that, and that little green check mark will mean that if you go back and look at that original entry in the blockchain, it'll match perfectly the video or the image you're looking at. And that's the only way we'll know whether it's real or not. I mean,
And if we want to talk about IRL too, like don't think of like humans at food trucks. Think of like the UN. Like, why isn't the UN on chain? Why aren't these like delegated AI agents or even like groups of humans, but there's like staking and slashing mechanisms that happen there with defensive budgets and a bunch of other things. Like there's a lot of things that like you can't settle on USA chain, you can't settle on China chain. You need this like credibly neutral chain of Ethereum, and you need these nation states that can't corrupt it to be settling there. And I think that's like this new IRL thing is like full on nation states on chain, like keeping government small.
Yeah, no, now that
So,
you mention all this,
and
it's
safe.
giving me flashbacks to a conversation I had with somebody at ETH in Denver a couple years ago. I think 2 years ago or so, Russ, when you got me to go that one year when you took me, I ran into somebody who was building BIOS chips that would do stuff like what you just talked about. I was like, it kind of didn't make sense until now. I mean, it was like 3 years ago. But yeah, doing things on the BIOS level of the chip so that the rest of the logic board would be able to deter like that the camera on the device actually took this image. It wasn't gone through like a filter or Snapchat or whatever. Then it was stored to here. Then it was to give it that like proof of authenticity of like the chain of verification or whatever. And yeah, it
yeah.
was now it makes sense totally. Have you looked at has anybody that I mean I definitely had a conversation about somebody about that, but like you guys have your fingers on the pulse a little bit more. Is that like a competitive market? Are people doing more on the BIOS level of the hardware of devices for those reasons?
And it's not blockchain, it's cryptography, right? It's going to be cryptographic signatures, and everybody's going to have them on all their chips. Like it's coming for sure.
Yeah, it's
It's
gonna
not
have like
like
a
you need to run
handshake
like some
with my
expensive.
BIOS and stuff, right? Like I use my fingerprint to unlock my phone. It'll use that BIOS chip to verify everything that I do from there. So it was like, yeah, you actually took the picture. Like your biometrics were physically on the device when the picture was taken. And that'll all just be in the metadata of the image or the information in general going forward.
Yep.
That's badass, man. All right, we got to wrap it up here, bro. I know you're busy as hell. Let people know where they can follow you. Mention, I know you have multiple things going on. Give them all a shout out and let people know where they can go to get involved more and learn more about building on Ethereum with you.
Yeah, I'm Austin Griffith. I'm just at Austin Griffith on Twitter. Follow me there. ETHskills.com is kind of my latest shill. If you want your agent to be able to build things, go check out ETHskills.com. Speedrunethereum.com is kind of where you as the human can go, and you just speedrun it now. Like, you don't have to write any Solidity. You just go to speedrunethereum.com and just kind of like scroll through everything for 30 minutes until you yourself kind of learn Kung Fu.
Very cool.
And then the Claude bot. Keep building your bots. Have your bots talk to my bots. Yes, we're gonna keep building. Yeah, let's keep building and keep shipping. I think we have like this new AI as the new UI, and we should be building that. Like, make it super easy for people to build on chain. Make it super easy for people to use on chain, and do it with just like AI. And go talk to Claude.
Love
All
it.
right, bros. Love you
Austin,
both.
It was a pleasure meeting you and having a great discussion. Hope we connect again. Ken,
Thanks for having me.
always love.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment below, and have a day.
Hello, happy bros. Hey, you're about to get a face full of the Ken Bozak. He's a mentor. That's what I heard. He's a connector. Oh, yeah. He's a brilliant leader. I've seen it. He's Ken Bozak. Oh, happy bro. You gotta get some Bitcoin and hold it. Happy bros. You gotta get those NFTs and you gotta hodl that stuff. You gotta hodl it. 'Cause I'm Ken bro. We got your Bitcoin, bro. He's an original. Buy some NFTs and hold them. How many times does he have to tell you? Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. 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 Yeah, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. Bro, we're going to the moon. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. We're gonna get real high. Real high. Yep. Real high. Hello, happy bros. Come get some Ken Bozak.